Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Naru's Corner, and this week we will take a look at these guarding turrets. I'm not really sure how I should call them. Well, they are turrets and they will shoot anything that comes in the trigger zones that they are guarding, okay? So you can use them anywhere you like and you can set any damage you like. Well, once you get the basic principle, as always, it's real simple to adjust them. So I'll just show you how it works. Once I step inside the trigger zone, the turret will activate and try to shoot me. Now, right now it deals no damage because I kept dying while filming this and it was so awkward. So see, right now I'm in both the trigger zones, and once we leave, they will return to idle state because they can't see us anymore. Okay, so I'll just jump back into the editor and we will take a look at it. Okay, so here we are back in the editor, and what we have so far is the design for the turret, of course. And as you can see, it consists of two parts. One is the base that doesn't move at all, and the second one is the top part, which, well, does the shooting, obviously. And what I've done here is that there are two states to the turret. One when it's idle, and that means that it will be closed like this and it will just rotate around the y-axis. It just looks better, you know, it just looks like it actually does something. And the second one, once it detects a player or an animal, as I've said, it will move slightly upwards. The effect of activating, and now it will track the player, and it can move in both y and x-axis. So, you know, if the player is up the hill or somewhere, it will just tilt slightly, and once the player leaves the trigger zone or it kills him, it will just go back down and just close. Well, not like this because I suck. Nice. Anyways, okay, so this is the design for the turret. You can obviously create anything you'd like, and I'm sure that you can even create more complicated ones since there is only one moving part here. That's, again, you know, that's up to you and what you'd like. I like the simpler version because I can use some spawning in my game as to, like, I will listen to placing of some block, right? Because I can't obviously place welds, but I could have some block, basic block, right? I could just take this round block. It's way too tiny, but why not? You would have this block inside your inventory, and once you place it, it will despawn the block and spawn the turret. And once you're spawning something like that consisting of more parts, you will always need to spawn the base first, and on that you will need to spawn the head. And if you had more parts, it's way too much work, and that's not worth for me. You know, we're trying to keep things simple here while still good looking. Well, hopefully. Anyways, well, what you need to prepare for this is a rotation animator, which will be rotating the turret only in the idle state, because, you know, we don't need anything special there. So it's just a basic rotation animator. It takes 10 seconds to go full 360 degrees. We won't be assigning it yet, I think. No, wait, we can. Why not? So you will just assign it. I didn't. We can assign it. Why not? It makes no difference because I think I was assigning it to script before, but hey, why not? It makes no difference to us because it can be rotating from the start. And the second one, once you will see it later, but when we are shooting in the editor, we use the throw instruction, and the throw instruction needs some template as a bullet, and I think the musket ball is actually just big enough to be the you know what I wanted to say, like, yeah, the projectile. Yes. Oh my god. Okay, so enough of rambling, let's just start. So we will place a trigger zone which will be detecting that is not a trigger zone, is it? Which will be detecting the player once it enters. And of course that you could use the some checks while placing it, that it won't attack the player that has placed it, right? You will just save the player as some variable, like the owner of the turret, and every time something steps inside the zone, it will ask, is this entity the target that I should not be attacking? If it is, it won't do anything. Okay, so I'm sorry. Oh no, the corona strikes again. Alright, sorry about this, but where was I? Right. We make the trigger zone visible just so we can see when we enter and leave the trigger zone, so we can easily say that the turret should be attacking us or not, right? So once in the trigger zone, you will need on trigger enter and on trigger exit events, and we will need a zone based tile, which we will use to just visually indicate that the player has entered and the turret has some targets to attack, right? We use this keyword because we are in the trigger zone itself. We will set the color to red once he enters, and we will change the color to blue. Blue is a friendly color, isn't it? Horror. Really messed up that word. Anyways, right. So we will also need a help variable. It'll just be a true or false. I've already created this when I was trying for the last time and I screwed up along the way, so I decided to re-record it, of course. And what we will use this for is that we will be setting it to true and false when the player enters or leaves the zone. And this is just so we can know if we should continue firing or not, right? If we should return to the turret to the idle state. So this is something like saying, hey, you've lost your target, just go to sleep. We will create first instruction, which will be activate, and this will be one time called. Always when something enters, it will activate, right? And we will pass in the player, and activating it will just mean that we will tell the turret to rise up and start following the player. That's it. Afterwards we will call the fire function, which we'll be creating later. So yeah, the first thing we need obviously is move to object, and the object will be an entity. So I can just steal this thing, I guess, and it will be the turret, and the position will be transform position, because we only want to move it a bit above the turret base, right? So we will be transforming the position of the turret base and just tell it to go slightly higher above it, and in this case it will actually be a negative number. The only reason is that when I was trying it and when I was creating this turret, I've left the pivot of the base rotated downward. So you can see that it's 180 degrees on Z. If I were to reset it to 0, it will be the same as the head, right? So we don't want that. And since it's rotated upwards, going up in the local space actually means negative numbers. But these are the things that you can just use trial and error on, and it's no difference. You just try it out, and if it's way too much, if it's way too little, you just try it a different way, and eventually it will work. So what we'll need now is aim to turret, and this aim to will override the rotation animator that we have now, right? So it will be the turret that will be moving, and the target will be the player. Target offset is 1 on the y-axis because we don't want to shoot his legs, we want to aim for the torso, right? Max speed will dump this down to, let's say, 80, acceleration 30. You could leave it high, but if you leave the speed too high, it will be able to rotate way too quickly, and there will be no escape from it. Like, once you step in, you're dead, right? So angle to start, angle to end will be zeros because we want it to aim perfectly. And we will also need rotation on x-axis because we want it to turn up and down as well as around. And that's it for the activate function actually, because this is how you activate the turret, right? And once you have activated it, you will want to tell it to shoot. And I think this will be the hardest instruction, but it's not really hard. So we'll call it fire exclamation mark because fire. Oh, sorry. Okay. Again, we will be passing the player, and I think we can just pass it here. Why not? We don't really need some checks, do we? Nah, we don't. We can just check in the fire function itself. So once this is called, we will be calling this over and over again while we still have the player. This is why you've seen the repeated shooting, right? So there will be some delay, and this delay is like a delay between single bullets once it actually finds the target, of course. So I will put in half a second. If I were to put 0.03 seconds, it will go. Well, this is the best I can do. This is the best explanation. So after this delay, it will call itself again. And of course, we don't want it to go forever, right? So we place in an if statement. We will place the if statement inside because we want it to check after the half second. And this will be what we have prepared here. If you still have a target, you should try to fire again, right? Okay, so this is what we have so far. And now for the shooting itself, because right now the turret is trying to aim to a player. It tries to find him, and we want to check if the turret head itself is aimed directly at the player. If it is, we want to shoot. If it's not, if there is a higher angle between them, we don't want to shoot, right? So we will say that if, and we have a handy tile for this, and this is the angle. So if this angle between, and now can get a little confusing, but I'm sure you can get this because you are amazing. If the rotation of the turret and now the look rotation. Why is the look rotation? Why don't I write get look rotation, right? Look rotation will give you an angle from position to position, and the from position will be a simple position of the turret, and 2 will be a transfer position of the player, right? Yeah, transforming the position of the player by 1, because this is the final rotation that we would like, right? This is where you want to shoot. So we will say if the angle between these two, between the look rotation and the actual rotation of the turret, is smaller than, let's say, do I have some number that I can steal here? Between, let's say, less than 2. Again, you need to playtest this because it will always be different for what you need or what you like. So if the angle is smaller, we will say throw. Throw is the tile that I can't write there. This is quite a large tile, but it's really simple. The instigator will be the turret itself. It just means that if it kills you, this turret will get the credit, right? Entity template, we have already prepared this, and it's just a simple, if I show you, it's just a simple template of the musket ball that I've colored red. And it's nothing special. You don't have to set any animators or anything. Just if you want to shoot melons, you can shoot melons, right? So yeah, where was I? Right, throw entity. Origin. origin and direction, those are kind of tricky in this case, because we don't want to shoot right from the position of the turret, which is here in the middle, as you can see those lines, right? But we want to shoot from the end of the barrel, and to that we need to find what difference of positions is there, because we want to offset the original position, right? And there is a great trick for this, and that is that you take the head of the turret, you reset the position to 0, because right now when it's on the 0, anything we find is the transformed to local position, right? So I have it on 0, I have rotation on 0s, and now I will just use some object like a pixel cube, because it's small and it has centered pivot point, and I will just position it exactly where I would like the shot to appear. Place it a little bit down, because the musket ball does not have the pivot point in the middle. So just let's around here, right? Okay. So this is the position I would like the turret to fire from. So I'll just use store position. Now I don't need it anymore. And go back to the trigger zone, and I will copy this saved value to a transform position again, and the position of the turret and offset will be the saved position. Sometimes you can get some really messed up numbers, because it can be 0.00000, like 15 zeros and then 1, and it transfers it to these numbers where there is 1.2 e minus 6 or something like that. In those cases, you can always go into the number and rewrite it like so, that you delete some decimal numbers behind it, just to make it less more complicated. I think we can leave x on 0 actually, and it's a simple fix. But if you leave the complicated numbers with the e and stuff, it tends to stop working. I don't think we've solved this issue yet. So yeah, just make sure that you don't have some messy numbers there. And for direction, and I'm not sure if I've been talking about this already in some previous videos, but for direction, you don't want a direction of a simple, you know what I mean. Simple vector. Sorry, I'm losing words today. So you don't want any old position, right? You need to find out the exact direction that the turret is shooting to, and you find it in a way that you take the offsetted position of this, that is the end of the barrel, and that will be the first position, and the second position will be moved like another 1 unit ahead of that, and you will then subtract the moved position, the original position from the moved position, and that will give you the sorry, it will give you the direction of the shot, right? I'm sure you can imagine it. I've actually borrowed the tablet to my friend, so I can't draw today. I would draw it, but if there's anything that you don't get from that, just contact me via the comment section, and I'll make sure to just explain it more. Okay, so I've just copied this too. This is the original one. We'll leave it like that, and this we need to move a bit forward, right? So instead of 0.8, I will put like 2. So what happens is that if I put the pixel cube back, this is the 0.8, the original position, and this is the moved position, right? So if I subtract this from this position, all that is left is this part, right, between those two. There is no residual part which goes back to the origin. It's just the local direction of the shot. Okay, so yeah, that's that. So we have told what direction it should be, and I will actually put some really slow speed, like, well, let's see, for 10 at least. No, 8. Why not? This will be a super slow shot, just so you know that it works. I'll put some damage, let's say 20 damage. If you get hit by this slow projectile, you should pay for it, right? Destroy on hit, true. This is just if you want the bullet to stay stuck to a player for some time before it disappears, but we don't want that. It doesn't look good. Gravity falls, because you can also throw entities with gravity, but it wouldn't work good for bullets. You would need to set a really high speed for it to have some actual, you know, distance to travel. On entity hit, let's just place in some debug console, right? Ha ha. Right, you don't really have to use these at all if you don't want to, because we are already damaging the player at this point. But you could be using some poison infliction or something, and that is where you would apply, because you have the entity hit and the hit position. So, you know, if you want to place some particle, that is actually a good idea. I will place in a particle right here, and that will be explosion, because that makes a total sense. Hit position, scale 2, and now it will create an explosion on the hit position, right? And speaking of particles, we could use another one here, and this will be the gunshot, because we don't want it to just appear, right? So I'll place a little particle effect that will create the gunshot effect once it spawns the bullet, so it looks better from coming from the barrel. And as the position, we will just use this transform position that we have here, and for rotation we can use this direction, because it is the direction after all. Scale, let's leave it at 1, because I think 2 would be way too big for this effect. Well, it will be for the explosion as well, but that is just to demonstrate that it is possible. So, okay, once we have this, after the delay, we are asking if you still have the target, right? But else, if we don't have the target, we want it to go back to the idle, right? So we will create our last function. I hope you are okay so far with the speed I'm going with. Again, any questions in the comments will be answered if possible. And go back to idle. Oh, I have the greatest names today. Okay, so we will pass in go back to idle here, because it is if we have lost the target in the meantime. And what we want to do is actually move it again, and I'll just steal it from here because I don't want to type it again. So move the turret to transform position, turret base, and this time offset will be 0. So it will just move it back down, and again it will take 1 second to move. And we want to reset, but the reset the rotation, right? Because we want it to start rotating around again in the idle state. But for this, we need to restart the X rotation for this. And how we're gonna do it is that we are gonna take a local variable. We're gonna set the rotation of the turret that it actually has right now. And if we have saved it like that, we can work on it, right? This will be a current rotation, right? And we will use this set x vector of the current rotation to 0. This will leave the rotation as it is on the around the y-axis, but it will reset it to 0 on x. And now we just say rotate to, and we will use time in this case again. The current rotation, because it is changed to 0, time will be 1, smoothing 1, and I will say that after the 1 second that it actually, we give it the 1 second to reset its rotation, right? So we will assign the animator, set rotation animator of the object thread to the rotation animator that we have had. And that actually should be it, because yeah, this will just keep moving it, keep rotating it. The fire function will be called all the time until we lose the target, then we'll go back to idle and it will wait for another player to enter the zone, right? So yeah, this should be it. Let's just playtest it and let's see if our turret works, and I hope it does. Alright, let's try this out. I've forgotten to move this guy, but oh, I so hope this is gonna work. And of course it's not working. Oh right, I have never called the function. Oh my god. Alright, so I'm stupid as always, and I have never called the activate function. I'm sure you've noticed that, but yeah, I don't know how I could possibly justify this dumbassery. So yeah, now we call the activate, and that should call the fire function. Yes. So once again, let's test it out. Ah man. All right. If it doesn't work now, I will just delete the video and forget about it. Oh great. And yeah, just joke's on you, dude. It's actually laughing at me. I've messed something up. You can see that everything works, but wow, I'm so impressed in myself right now. So everything works except the shooting, and I think I will actually leave it in and I won't cut this horrendous file out, because I want to demonstrate that, you know, it's just a trial and error, and solving these issues is really part of it, and you never get rid of those. You just have to have some patience with these. So what I've done here is that, oh, see, I'm not subtracting these, but I am actually adding them in the direction. So yeah, again, stupid. 2 minus the origin, yes, now it should work. So for the last time. Alright, so here we are. We activated the turret. It is trying to find us. We are faster, but now it got us, and it is actually damaging us, and we're gonna die if we don't. No, don't. Good. And it's back in the idle. And I have like 1 HP for some reason. I see my HP all grayed out. Never mind that. Okay, see ya. Really, that was quick. Sorry. As I've said, I'm a bit confused today for some reason. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. If you like this and you have some ideas for what you want to see next, make sure to comment this and give me some ideas for that, because otherwise I will come up with something stupid as always. And alright, see you in like 2 weeks. Bye guys.